Welcome back to Ask a Lawyer, where I'm visiting with Mark Avera at the law offices of Avera and Smith. Mark, I know how difficult it is for someone to choose a lawyer. There's so many ads bombarding you. There's billboards, there's radio, there's television, and then there's some ads that say, ask somebody, call 1-800, ask somebody. And the somebody apparently isn't a lawyer because it just goes by the first name. And then there's people that stand up there and tell you what somebody apparently did, but it's an actor doing that. So tell us how you should choose a lawyer, but first of all, I want to hear about ask so-and-so.
Well, there's so much more wrong with legal advertising nowadays than there is right. Ostensibly, it's meant to educate people, but it does very little in that regard. People need to know that to advertise on television, a lawyer or a law firm only needs a license to practice law. You don't have to ever have set foot in the courtroom. You don't have to try a case. You don't have to get a verdict one way or the other. You just have to have a license to practice law. The 1-800 numbers now that you see advertised on television are not governed by the Florida Bar. If a lawyer advertises on television or on radio, the Florida Bar regulates that. Every advertisement has to be approved by the Florida Bar, and the lawyer and the law firm have to submit a fee to have the advertisement reviewed and approved by the bar. The 1-800 services, those folks are not lawyers. They're somewhat of a middleman. They will refer you to a lawyer, or they will refer you to a medical specialist. And what folks have to ask themselves are those folks sending me to the best lawyer or the best medical provider, or are they sending me to the lawyer or medical provider who's going to pay them the biggest referral fee? If you don't know the answer to that question, you may not be picking the best professional for your case.
So that's why they're fast and loose with their advertising, and they're not really attorneys. It's just ask so-and-so, and that's just a name to call to have somebody refer you to other attorneys.
Well, for example, they utilize folks that apparently give testimonials, and whether they're actual clients or actors, one knows not. But the Florida Bar will not let lawyers do that. If we place an ad on television, the bar will essentially let me say that I'm board certified in civil trial law. They will let me say that. They will let me say that we do handle personal injury cases and we'll review your case if you like, but they will not let us say anything about what we've done for clients, our success in various areas of the law. That's prohibited and strictly controlled by the Florida Bar. 1-800 referral services have no oversight, have no control by the Florida Bar.
Mark, you mentioned board certification. Can you tell me what that means and what that means to the consumer?
Sure. The Florida Bar has about 20 areas of specialization in the law now where lawyers can become board certified. Civil trial law is one. I'm board certified in civil trial law. My brother Lance is board certified in workers' compensation law. And what that means is that we've submitted ourselves to the bar to take an examination and obviously pass it, and also demonstrated that for me, that I've tried so many cases, and for Lance, that he's tried so many workers' compensation cases. And it's important for folks to know answers to those questions. For example, in civil trial law, only about 5 to 8% of attorneys who practice in civil trial law are board certified. Now, there are lawyers who are good who are not board certified, but board certification is a good early indicator of whether your lawyer has tried cases and has passed a strict examination submitted by the Florida Bar.
So it allows the consumer to know that you've proven yourself in that particular area, that you've been to trial, that you've worked work comp cases, and that you know what you're doing in those areas. So that's probably the first step in choosing a lawyer. And what else should people look for?
There are other questions that you need to pose. I would never want anybody to pick a lawyer based on an advertisement. There's so much more wrong with legal advertising now than there is right with it. It started out to be hopefully a means to educate people. It does very little of that in my humble opinion. Folks need to ask, is their lawyer board certified? Has a lawyer ever tried a case in front of a jury? Ever obtained a verdict in the kind of case that they are seeing the lawyer about? How many times have they tried cases? Do they have clients that they have tried cases for that the new client can call and ask questions? If a lawyer doesn't want to do those kinds of things, that's an early red flag.
And where else could they ask around if they maybe relatives or, you know, who else should they check with on?
People at the courthouse. People at the courthouse
trials, yeah.
they know who is trying cases in their community and their area and who they never see at the courthouse.
So if they recognize the attorney, then they know that they've been there before and
sure,
and aren't afraid to go to trial, because my understanding is that a lot of times settlements are made that maybe could have gone to trial.
Well, most cases do settle. That is true. Even for lawyers who are board certified, I do settle most of my cases. We have alternative dispute resolution nowadays. We have mediation, arbitration, all kinds of ways to get cases resolved short of jury trials. A jury trial results when folks don't compromise to the extent necessary, where they can meet somewhere in the middle to get the case resolved. That's when we ask a jury to come in and hear the evidence and to decide the case based on the evidence.